In 2008, 11-year-old me was deeply invested in Bolt, a Disney animated film that featured a puppy with incredible superpowers. Marketing prioritized the film would focus on an epic tale of an epic dog. And for the first 10 minutes, I was given exactly what was promised: an epic origin story, awesome action sequences, and a great start to what could have been a great 90 minutes. Instead, the rest of the film, featuring a generic story, would quickly become forgotten in the lineage of Disney Pictures. Spies in Disguise follows this failure identically, but to a greater degree. The first few minutes of swift and suave action by Lance Sterling are followed by a story that seems to forget it has such a brilliant concept, succeeding to a plot that seems to want to go in multiple directions but never dives deep enough to make this feature anything but a simply bland film and a wasted opportunity. The story is simple, but throughout, there are moments where it clearly would have been better if characters were given more characterization. One such point is in the beginning of the film, in which the Tom Holland-voiced Walter Beckett has an intimate moment with his mother. The film is introduced with this, but then doesn't unravel much more about Walter's character until we meet him in the US government spy agency. Another missed moment is when the Will Smith-voiced Lance Sterling emotionally says, "I work alone," as if to present that something in his past caused him to keep this mindset. Instead, we aren't given any details about Sterling's past, and that's one of the biggest mistakes of the film. Spies in Disguise seemingly wanted to either focus on Lance or Walter, but instead of focusing on one or the other, we get a puddle-level depth of development between both characters. The antagonist suffers the same flaw. He's a one-note villain whose technology of face shifting brings the agency to blame Lance Sterling for his actions. Villains can be one note, but usually at the compromise of much more detailed protagonists. We get a syndrome-like reveal that our spy and villain have met, but it's nowhere as meaningful as the parallel from The Incredibles. Then the large, wasteful segment of the film, the pigeon transformation. Quite honestly, I don't believe this had to be a terrible portion of the film. It led to comedic moments, of course, but also an odd conflict between the characters. Throughout the timeline of Lance Sterling being a pigeon, Walter Beckett is visibly annoyed that the agent would want to return to, human form. And this confused me. Turn the human back into a human, or you're just as bad as an evil godmother. The art direction chosen was also a liability to the film. Throughout the runtime, I imagined how much better served this story would have been with the character designs and style and detail of DreamWorks' How to Train Your Dragon or other films. Instead, we get a pretty bland choice of animation that looks like it came out 15 years ago. Of course, you can see in water physics and in hair that this is not, in fact, 2005. But the rest of the film has a vastly cheaper feeling than it should have. The animation and story complement each other in the fact that both are softer and much more simplified than they should be. One of the messages that's hammered throughout the film is that evil shouldn't be fought in a combative manner, and that if you strike evil in a non-violent way, it will just go away. This is another problem, and probably the greatest of the film. Due to the fact that this movie has many parallel scenes to The Incredibles, I'm going to bring up the fact that Syndrome had to be combated equally. If not, the world would have been in a dystopian state. In the scene where Mr. Incredible uses Syndrome's computer, multiple heroes are shown to have gone up against Syndrome's robots, only to die in the process. The movie paints the grim reality that evil will kill the good guys, even if they put up their best fight. Instead, Spies in Disguise takes a softer approach that doesn't make sense in the process. Walter Beckett constantly digs on Lance Sterling for his methods of getting the job done, instead implying he should approach missions in a method in which no one gets hurt. This overlooks, and the story writers should have seen this, the fact that a spy like Lance Sterling is the covert and least collateral method of getting the bad guys. The US spy agency isn't sending troops, firing nukes, or drones. They're sending the best and most efficient person in the agency to eliminate threats of evil, and he's clearly been doing perfectly fine. What's the next softest approach? This moral makes the film overly simplistic. Just watch The Incredibles. You, your brain, and other viewers will be much better off. I'm pretty disappointed in this film. The premise of an animated spy film led by Will Smith was a brilliant opportunity for Blue Sky Studios to impress audiences in the way that DreamWorks Animation did with Kung Fu Panda and Sony with Into the Spiderverse. A film like Spies in Disguise is exactly why Blue Sky Studios will never be thought of in the vein of Pixar. This film wastes the potential it had, goes in too many directions in an unfocused manner, and is overly simplified because of it. But what do you guys think of Spies in Disguise? This was just my analysis of a film that I was actually anticipating last year. I saw it earlier this year, and here we are. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more.